Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. And today in our Draft Prospect Show, Vincent Turner and I are going to talk about a young man that all I'm going to do is just shake my head, going, there's no way you don't know more about this young man right here. He was a secret, to be perfectly honest with you, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Before we do that, I'd just like to say thank you to Logan Landers for putting our show together. He's our producer and engineer. And Vincent, I'm telling you, every once in a while you throw a bone at me and you say, let's go. Let's talk about this guy. And I'm, okay, whatever. Then I do my research and I find out, holy cow, this dude is awesome now. And I'm going to tell you, Chandler Martin, linebacker out of Memphis. Folks, if you're tuning in and you haven't seen our show before, I'm just being as enthusiastic as I can in terms of, I don't normally get enthusiastic. I don't do this for every ball player. But when I watch this guy run around and see some footage of him, there's no way that there's not 32 teams in the league that would be honored to draft this young man. He's not going to be a first rounder. He's only about 6 feet tall. He's about 235 pounds, but he's full of muscle. He's full of intensity, and he's full of everything that you would want if you had a linebacker, an inside linebacker, playing football for you. Memphis was glad to have him.
Everyone that watches 100 Yards of Football know me over the years, how proud I am of anything that comes out of the Memphis athletic program. Basketball, I'm a Penny Hardaway's fan, and football, I'm ecstatic today because we got a young man that played 2 years at a high level at the University of Memphis. But he's from the Atlanta metro area, Lithonia, Georgia. Went to Arabian Mountain. And what more can you say? The skill set, explosive, athletic. And he's one of the fastest players moving up the 2025 NFL draft board. Back to you, Harp.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. So let's go over a little bit. First, we're going to have Chandler Martin. He wears number 11. He's a junior, so he's an underclassman. He's 6 feet, 230 pounds. In 2024, he had 111 tackles, 7 sacks, 4 passes deflected. He had an interception, forced a fumble, had 4 fumble recoveries, and one of those was for a touchdown. In 2023, he had 94 tackles, so over 200 in the last 2 years. He had 3 sacks, 2 passes deflected, 2 interceptions in his sophomore year, etc., etc., etc. Dynamic, speed, strength, intensity, the instincts to get to the ball. There are so many film plays that I've watched him where nobody touches him and he's able to get somebody in the backfield. It's not because somebody wasn't trying to get him. He just anticipates, he reads well. And if you want to have some fun, guys, go look at some film on Chandler Martin because it looks like he's throwing a rag doll around in most of the tackles that he makes, especially the ones in the backfield. It's absolutely it's hilarious to watch this guy play in a football manner that every one of you would go, that's the type of guy that I want to have on my roster. Where am I wrong, Vincent?
Explosive football player, a guy that went to East Tennessee first, and then he transferred to Memphis. But what I like about him, he's old school, and he's what you like in a linebacker. He's going to throw his body around, what you just said, Hart. But he could do it all, stack and shed. He can read the quarterback. But most of all, he's sideline to sideline. To tell you how much is he a pro prospect, I don't have to say no more. Listen to this stat here. Mike drops on this. Florida State, 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, a quarterback sack, and a quarterback hit. That's for you, Mr. Bobby Butler. We could play football down here in Memphis, too. I hated he did against Florida State in the second game of the year. I'm going to have fun with this. But when you look at his skill set, he reminds me of a guy when I was in college that was all Southwest Conference, Teddy Morris, who played at the University of Arkansas. Another all Southwest Conference linebacker in Grady Turner. Then he reminds me of a gentleman that came from New Jersey. This is for you, Mr. Stephen Travers, who's going to be on tomorrow. He reminds me of Richard Batman Wood, how he flied around the football in the early 70s for USC. And then another gentleman that played for the San Diego Chargers, Mike Green, that was out of Oklahoma State. I don't have to say no more. I'm proud today because you know why? When Chandler Martin gets drafted in the National Football League, all I'm going to think about is Derrick Burrows, Jerome Woods, Trey Millington, Keith Simpson, Keith Butler, Keith Wright, Isaac Bruce, Hall of Famer, Reggie Jones. I don't have to say no more. I don't want people to get mad at me. Jeff Walker, Wade Smith, Mike McKenzie, Tim Harris, Eric Ferris. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Well, one of the things that he did at the beginning of the season when playing for Memphis, and Memphis had a good team this year. They had an early loss, but they were awesome now, and they had a good team, and he's obviously the captain of the defense and just making things happen. But there were reports that were being sent around of who to watch for that the National Football League scouts end up passing to one another, whether it be inter-team or intra-team, or just the team and the scouts are who we're looking for. And he was really not on any of those lists, but he goes to the Shrine game just a couple of weeks ago, and he impresses everybody there. He met with 31 of the 32 teams. Every one of them wanted to know a little bit more about him because they watched the way they practiced. They watched the way that he was able to move around. They watched the way that he behaved and how he held himself, and compared to some of these top athletes that he was going against. They could say that, in the American Athletic Association, it's a little bit of a lower league, blah, 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 blah. And he's practicing with the big boys, and he is making it happen. He's balling out. That's the thing about him that was, to me, one of those I have it, but you don't know that I've got it moments where the other teams are going, wait a second, who's this kid that nobody can block? Who's this guy that is tackling everybody and all the offensive players are getting upset at? It's Chandler Martin. So he's been a difference maker. He gets to the ball quickly. He doesn't have any hesitation. Once he makes his mind up, he's going to get you. He moves well within the box, meaning that he doesn't get in the path of a guard or a tackle, a center that's trying to block him, and he gets the spot before the offensive lineman hits his spot, so he has an advantage right then and there. Again, if you want to see some film that'll make you smile, watch him tackle some people in the backfield. It'll put a smile on your face to say there are still people around that do that. He's a disruptive defender. His speed to get to the quarterback, that'll be something that I think will be a real difference maker. Whether he's projected to be an inside linebacker or a will away from a tight end, that would be something that a defensive coordinator will have to figure out. But gosh, all the tools. The biggest issue, Vincent, is his size. He's a verified 5'11", so he doesn't have the length. He doesn't have the stride, if you will, and because he's only 235 pounds, there is a concern of him going against a guy that literally outweighs him by 100 pounds, and how he'll be able to hold up throughout the course of the season. But his speed and his instincts, I think, will help make up for that.
Remember this, it was a gentleman that I saw play like 3 times when I was at the University of Arkansas and I was at the University of Arkansas from 78 to 82. And this gentleman, they said the same thing about him, about the same size as Chandler Martin. He might have been 5'10", but one thing, he had them eyes. You know what I'm saying? And he played for, I think, the greatest defense in one season for the Chicago Bears. Now, I'm not saying Chandler Martin is on that level, but if you go back and watch a young Mike Singletary at Baylor University and all the tackles he was making sideline to sideline, you'll see where I'm coming from. But all I got to say is today is this. When you look at the football player, you look at the gentleman, his film speaks for itself. The actions speak for themselves. I don't have to say no more. So that being said, all I can say is I'm proud that the young man played at the University of Memphis, the 901. Stack Records, baby. Otis Redding, David Porter, Isaac Hayes, Soul Finger by my band, the Barcades. And most of all, let me get it right. No, I'm forgetting the fight song. Help me out today, but I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, I'm forgetting the University of Memphis fight song today. Let me see.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, here it goes. Go Tigers, go! Go Tigers, go! Go Tigers, go. Thank you, Mr. Chandler Martin, for attending the University of Memphis. Much blessings, and I hope you go high in the draft. Productive football player, and let me give one more shot in. I got to do it today. September the 9th, 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 sack against Florida State. I dropped the mic. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, this is a guy that is turning heads for all the right reasons. And we hope that he plays better than Vincent recalls his fight song. Goodness gracious. So we're grateful to be a part of it. And, real quick story, folks. Mike Singletary, when he gets to Chicago, was not liked very much by Buddy Ryan, the defensive coordinator. They love Buddy there, but Buddy didn't know if he could transfer all of the insight into how he wanted to run that 4-6 or any other type of defensive front, whether or not Mike had it. So he tested him. He tested him hard. And he thought that Mike thought, and you can listen to interviews that Mike has, he wasn't sure whether he was going to make the team or whether he was going to be a guy that Buddy could trust and rely on. And Buddy kept drilling him and giving him a hard time and saying, you're not the guy. You can't do it. You're not able to. And it only made Mike Singletary play all the harder to not only learn his position, but learn what everybody else needed to be doing. He had to be calling and have a relationship with Doug Plank and Fensick there in the backfield to be able to change when they went in motion. He had to be able to tell Wilbur Marshall and Richard Dent where to go on certain plays and who needed to shift and rotate and move. And he had to know what everybody was doing. If Chandler Martin accepts that type of a challenge, he could be one of those guys that could be a difference maker because he's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got everything that you would need to have an interior, inside, college level linebacker. Can he transfer that over into the National Football League, whether it be inside or outside? We're going to find out. But what a great journey to go along with. Chandler Martin, we wish you the best. So thank you very much for tuning in. For Logan Landers, our producer and engineer, for Vincent Turner, our founder and co-host today, I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for being a part of 100 Yards of Football, our draft prospects show featuring Chandler Martin today. We appreciate you being a part of it. Have a fantastic day, everybody.
Go Tigers.